Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. This is session 1 of Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not an actual therapist, but I play one on the internet. That's right. And today, as with every film therapy session, I have a special guest, and that special guest is to my right. You might be able to see his shirt right now. And it's John Steven Rocha.
Hello. Wow.
Hey.
That was an uncomfortably long time in that
I'm
position.
sorry.
No, it was
I
a
could
great
have made it
intro.
longer.
No, yes, you could have. Absolutely.
Oh,
Hello,
man.
everybody.
Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing on Film Therapy.
I'm so
This
excited.
is
This is like the first episode.
it is
So
the
I'm
first
like you
session.
guys. Yeah,
We're
first
gonna
session. Sorry,
call
first
it.
session.
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to say to the audience before I get started, like it's
Mhm.
very important that they know that I am not a therapist.
No.
You are not a therapist. We are not doctors. If you
Yes.
feel that you need to see a doctor or you have a medical emergency, I would like you to contact the appropriate people or go
Sure.
to the emergency room.
I like this.
Just because the show is called Film Therapy, so I just want to make sure that people are aware that we're not doctors.
Yeah. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, like I said, I play one on the internet, and that's the extent of it.
I'm a doctor of funk. There we go. Yes.
Okay, so and here's what we do on the show.
Yes.
I have a guest every session, and I'm going to ask that guest 3 questions.
Mhm.
This is a storytelling show. So my
Mhm.
hope is that the guest will go into some stories about how film has affected their life.
Ooh, I don't really have any stories. If
Oh,
anybody.
well, I guess this will be a short one then,
No, I'm
guys.
joking.
But
Yep.
before we get started
Yes.
into those questions, and I'll run through those in a second. Before we get started with that, I want John to introduce himself to the audience, just in case
Yeah.
you might not know who John is, which I'm
It's-
sure you do.
It's certainly possible.
And while John is doing that, I'm going to pull up the chat in case you're chatting.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a 15-year resident of Los Angeles. I grew up in Virginia. I graduated from Florida State. Started getting into all this stuff about a year and a half ago, thanks to Christian Harloff over at the Schmoes Know. I host the Top 10 show over on the Collider Network, which was originally a podcast on the Schmoes Know and now is a YouTube show on camera over at Collider. And then I also host the Cinephiles podcast, which my friend Steve Morris, who's a film professor here in town, we take one classic film and we break it down over an hour on a podcast. And we have special guests every once in a while that are either affiliated with the film or that we know personally who has a mad love for the film. And also I host a Jedi Alliance, but I'm not sure how long that's going to last. So
Jedi Alliance is Popcorn Talk. So it's been going for a few years.
It has.
Right.
Ken Napsok and Mod started it, and now, it was then Joseph Scrimshaw, and then Mark Donica, and then it was me and Mark. But I think things are kind of like I'm looking at other things possibly. So
okay,
we'll see what happens with that. We're talking.
All very exciting.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you. And you might know me as the Outlaw.
Yeah.
On the Schmodown.
And you have a Schmodown coming out.
I do, against the great Mark Riley, the has-been. He used to be champion. Now he's going down. The new kid's in town, and he wants the belt. Riley, you've been a great champion. But just like everything else in life, sometimes the reign is over. There we go. All right, that's what I have to say.
Over it is. And you have Freddie Prinze Jr. in your corner.
I do.
Which is more than I can say.
Well,
I'm going to be doing a Schmodown, and I'm going to probably be crying on the inside the entire time.
The thing is, this thing's about Brienne. Brienne knows a lot about movies, but she's not the biggest fan of being tested about them in competitions. I saw movie games and I was like, oh.
Yeah. If you have to write an essay about a film, I could nail it. Nail it. This is the same thing with like taking GREs or any sort of SATs.
Yes.
Any essay portion, I am like off the charts.
You are.
The rest off the charts the other way. So there you go. That's how it works. So when you get the lights, you know what? I'm just gonna my hope is that I just actually look good.
Yeah.
So people will just forget that I'm not good.
Well, I think you're doing fine in that department. You've been posting those pictures. You look great.
We got some good cosplay that we've decided on because Stacey and I are in the team.
I will show up for that show.
All right, so here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here are the 3 questions that I'm going to ask John, and in order. And yeah, so here they are. The first one that I'm going to ask you is going to be, and I'm just going to run through all 3 and then we'll go through each one. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a movie that triggers a memory,
Hmm.
possibly a painful memory?
Ooh,
What is a film that has helped you through a difficult time?
okay,
Okay, so we're going to start with the easy one, in my opinion.
okay.
And that is, what is a film that inspires you?
Because I'm a man who loves sports, it was
Hmm.
really, really hard not to choose a sports film, and I tried to not choose a sports film just because I didn't want to maybe marginalize the audience right off the bat. But I had no choice,
Okay.
really, and I circled all the way back around to Hoosiers. Hoosiers is such an inspirational movie for me, and I thought it would be Rocky. I thought it might, but I identify more with Hoosiers
Hmm.
because I grew up in Southern Virginia or Northern Virginia, but really kind of the southern northern line of Virginia. And I kind of feel an affinity for those areas like in Indiana where they show in the movie that's like there's not a lot of houses around. There's not a lot of there's like one house and then miles of grass or farmland or crops. And so I had that experience in Virginia. It's very familiar to me.
Hmm.
And the idea of a small kid from a small town where I grew up in Dale City was a very small town when we didn't even have a mall when I grew up in the 80s until 1985, you
Right.
know. And so to me I identify with that, taking on the juggernaut of this crazy team, bringing these people together, having Gene Hackman as a fantastic coach with great life lessons, you know, about teaching these kids about how to survive in life, how to not be, not succumb to hero worship, find that balance between doing your studies and then also focusing on the court, because focusing on the court, learning how to play well with others, learning how to be a team, it helps you in life when you go into any situation, because it's very rare people that are successful just by themselves. So
Right. How old were you when you saw this film?
I saw it when it came out in the theater. So what, I don't know, 15, 14, 16, something around there, something around that time. I suppose I could look it up real quick and tell you, but like, it was around, I know it was like
Yeah.
around the mid 80s. And it was just that I was coming into my formative years as a teenager in high school. So for me, it was very inspirational, and being a massive NBA fan or basketball fan, college basketball fan, it just kind of hit all the right notes. And
Hmm.
the vibe is just, no matter how big you get, don't remember your root. Don't forget your roots. And I think that's also another thing too in the scene near the end when they go to the big stadium when they're going to play the game where they're used to playing in front of like 70 people, they're playing in front of thousands, you know. And it's very much similar to my life, how I find myself in certain situations being watched by thousands of people, or being in a situation where there's a lot of pressure, or moving up the chain of whatever career I always choose to go to. It's just great inspiration for me, and it lets me remember, like, that's, no matter what happens, no matter how people try to tear you down or people try to come up and from the top and try to smack you down, like, remember your strength, your base, your foundation, your roots are built in a reality and a truth. And that helps me in those moments when I'm feeling like, you know, I need a little inspiration or I need
Hmm.
to feel good. And the music is so fantastic in the movie, it just lifts you up. And it's very real obstacles in the movie. And so it's just a great film that gets me back on track whenever I need a little pick me up or a little inspiration or a little desire to fight through the fight. So yeah.
I have not seen Hoosiers,
Okay.
but I
I don't
believe it
understand
to
why.
be a I will see
I
Hoosiers.
mean,
I mean, I know the ending, but I will still see it.
yeah,
There are plenty of movies that I'm getting to, that I haven't
I
seen.
heard Predator.
So, yeah, Predator was great,
Yeah,
guys. Oh my gosh.
I like Predator.
So Hoosiers is on that list. And
Yeah.
I saw Glory Road. Did you see Glory
Oh yeah.
Road? Is that a similar story?
It is the true story of Western Kentucky,
Okay.
which was and that's Josh Lucas was the coach, right?
Yes.
When you saw, yeah, that's the true story of this team from Western Kentucky that was all black, started all black, five black players at all the positions, going up against the powerhouse that is, I think, Kentucky. And Adolph Rupp, and they beat them. And it's very similar to what, like, the Jets beating the Colts in Super Bowl III, Billie Jean King beating Bobby Riggs. Like, it's very similar. Like, the underdog, no one gives them a chance.
Rocky and
Rocky,
Apollo.
yes, yes.
Okay.
What you see in the yeah, sure, Rocky and Apollo, absolutely.
I can bring it to
But
Rocky.
it's a true story, so it's a good movie. It's not I don't think it's a great movie, but it's a good movie. Like We Are Marshall. We Are Marshall is a good movie. It's not a
Mm.
great movie.
Yeah, I liked
Whereas,
We Are
yeah,
Marshall.
whereas Hoosiers is a great movie. Yeah,
All right, I like it.
thank you.
So I'm believing that when you are going into the next schmodown against Mark Riley, you're gonna
Yes.
have on some headphones and you're gonna be listening to that score from Hoosiers.
Yeah, well, this is something I do before I walk into the match, because you guys, it's movie trivia questions and it seems like fun, but it's a lot of stress. And behind the scenes, let me tell you, everybody, no matter what they say on camera, is stressed out or worried before they walk out onto the set because they know anything can happen. They can mess up
Hmm.
anything. For me personally, messing up Bespin has been a curse for months.
Sure.
Even when I vindicated myself against Mance and beat Harloff, people still bring it up. So it's a tough thing to let go of, and
Yeah,
people are afraid to have that specter on them.
you just don't want to look
Yeah,
foolish is the thing. And see, with movie games, I have the nice part of it is that it's under the paywall, and
yeah,
so only people that pay for the service can see it. So you
that's
won't
true.
see me fall on my face because I don't know a movie that Jamie Foxx has been in. So there you go. Actually, I know a movie. I don't know who else was in it.
Oh, fair enough.
There we
Okay,
go. You
Tom
get to
Cruise.
that block and you're like,
That's the
that's it.
thing.
Your mind just goes black, and
Yeah,
then you can't like quickly pick it up and like think of the next thing because
yeah,
you're just stuck on that.
yeah.
That's
And
how
you
it works.
it's the worst fear. And these people who are actually working in the industry, working in business film, can get like hounded out of a situation if they make that mistake. So there's always that fear.
Right.
I think that's why Scott Mance retired. He was like, I shouldn't be putting myself through this kind of stuff. And
It's
I respect that.
stressful.
I respect that.
The next question we're going to move on
Mm.
to is, what is a film or a scene from a movie that triggers a memory,
Uh,
perhaps a painful memory?
I mean, I think one of the standard ones is Field of Dreams, Want to Have a Catch.
Hmm.
But for me, which is a great scene, Dad Want to Have, I cry every time at that scene. But for me, it's the end of Big Fish. And I talked about this on the Top 10 show.
I'm getting chills right now,
Well,
just because you said Big Fish,
yeah.
because like that has a lot. We can get into this too,
Yes,
but keep
great.
you
Yeah.
go.
This is like I lost my father in 2008 to mesothelioma cancer, which was a terrible loss. And my father had become like my best friend after all these battles between us and me
Hmm.
growing up and him doing his thing. And this is part of being in the Latino family. Sometimes you kind of have to fight back against your father because your father is kind of giving you a rite of passage by putting you through that. And
Hmm.
some people don't, and I'm sure it happens in numerous ethnic households or Caucasian
Right.
households. I'm sure that kind of thing exists, but it seems very, very similar to the Latino. It's very authentic to the Latino experience. And so we would do that, and it was so many battles with us growing up. Like I wanted to be an actor, he wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I wanted to be an artist or performer, and it was always just battles.
Hmm.
And then he had these fantastical stories because my dad grew up in Bolivia, grew up in Argentina, then grew up in this country in the 60s as an immigrant to this country. And so he had so many stories. And he would tell me these fantastical stories, and I'd be like, you're just look at you. You work as a banquet waiter, you work as this, you work. I would just kind of denigrate it when I was growing up because I needed to feel better than him in order to succeed. But what you find as you get older is you have perspective about your life and perspective about the world, and you go through therapy and you go through things that you go through, and then you have those moments where you realize and appreciate what your father did to raise you, what your father did with those stories he told, what your father was trying to show you. And for
Hmm.
me, that's why the movie resonates. And at the end, when he has to participate in his father's story so that he could put him back in the water and he can go and be the big fish that he talked about in his life when he's dying of, I'm not sure if it's cancer or whatever he's dying
I
from in
think
the
it is
movie. Is it
cancer.
cancer? Yeah.
Hmm.
There is that. And of course, my mom and dad stayed together until he passed. And so it's like that kind of thing with Jessica Lange and him. And so there's a lot of things that resonate for me because I am Billy Crudup in that movie. I am,
Right.
dealing with the stresses of my life, angry at my dad for a long time about stuff he didn't do, stuff he did do. And so coming to terms with it, I did that through therapy, through 3 years of really intense therapy while he was dying of cancer, which was a colossal mind F, if I can't cuss on this. And when I went through that, to come out the other side and have a stronger, more loving and understanding relationship with my father, that movie just always resonates with me. And when he puts him in the water, I burst into tears every time. I'm like, I'm close right now, just talking
Right.
about it. Yeah.
Right. Um, I like what you're saying about like you have to do this to understand your parents,
Yeah.
and I feel like when you get to a certain age you meet your
Mm-hmm.
parents like adults,
That's
like
great.
we're finally meeting in the middle of I understand you.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that for me was becoming a parent, and
Yeah,
now I kind of understand like the choices that my parents
I'm
made.
sure.
Big Fish is something that is an important movie to me. It is one that I saw with a friend who was dying of cancer at
Oh
the
wow.
time. So
Wow.
it was, we weren't expecting that this was what the movie would be
Yeah.
about. Um, and so anytime I think about Big Fish, I think about him because he did
Yeah.
pass away.
Hmm.
That was the movie he ever saw.
Oh wow.
And that was the last movie theater experience, I
Hmm.
should say. He may have seen other things.
Right.
Um, but that was the last time I remember being with him.
Hmm.
And that was a good friend of my husband's. And
Yeah.
he died at 22 or
Oh
23,
wow. Oh my God.
I
I'm
want to
so
say.
sorry.
No, not 20. No, he must have been older. No,
Okay.
that was, yeah, 22 or 23.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, it's that's terrible. Obviously, it's very sad to experience that at such a young age. And the film, and if like the film, if you have a person or know someone in life who's that fantastical and that grand,
mhm,
there is a massive loss that you have inside your world. That you never, almost never, really fully recover from, because you will get past it if you work at it and move forward and what have you. But you'll always have those moments, those real cherished little moments that pop up years later, where you miss them for a pocket of time, and you appreciate and smile at the time that you had with him or her,
mhm,
or the reason why you're having the memory, what it sparks in you, and appreciate that memory and cherish it even more. And I
mhm,
think that movie does that so well. And it's a really, it's an, and I fought for it to be number one on our top 10 Tim Burton films on the top 10 show, because I think it's a very underappreciated Tim Burton. It's the most adult Tim Burton
right.
film he's ever made, including Sweeney Todd, which has all the blood and
Ed
gore.
Wood's pretty adult.
Well, sure, but
It's so
it's
different.
so childlike in its approach. Like nothing
Mhm,
ever gets him
right.
down, right?
Right. Yes.
Whereas this film, there are constant battles,
Mhm,
between Albert Finney and Crudup and Marianne Cotillard, a young Marianne Cotillard who's just making her name, and Jessica Lange is so exquisite in this. And
right.
then when you go back, you see Ewan McGregor with uh,
Alison Lohman.
Alison Lohman, yeah, in those memories. Then you have Danny DeVito, Steve Buscemi, Helena Bonham Carter's fantastic
Mhm,
as the supposedly witch woman.
right.
All these, that big giant tall guy holding the, like, all of, there's so much about the film that is like that. It resonates with me because my dad was a larger than life kind of character, and it was tough to live in that shadow. It was tough to deal with that shadow. So,
Right.
but we did come to terms, which is what's great about the movie. Like, there's a lot of resonance there for me.
And the movie does have, I feel like it has something for everyone,
Yes, I would agree with that.
which is kind of a different thing for Tim Burton.
Yes.
Because normally it's like, whoa, this is not necessarily something I relate to, but it's a great story.
Right.
But this one, I feel like it does have something for everyone.
Wait a minute, he's got scissors for hands? What are you talking
Wait
about?
a minute.
People chatting? Is this the
They
chat?
are chatting, so we
Oh,
can say hello to some
oh, this
people.
is
Randall
great.
Sands, Forgotten Boy, Jack
Yeah.
Cole.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, so hey guys.
Tasker Thorn, I like that name.
Tekatopmon. Tekatopmon.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to
Awakenings.
say it. So
Awakenings is a great reference by Tekatonon. That's a great film that I still discover every once in a while, late night
Mhm.
on the pay channels. I'll be flipping channels, and when it's on, because it's such a great performance from Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, and De Niro is
Super
so good. Yeah, it
sad.
is super sad.
Super
It
sad.
is.
I mean, this show is about sadness, but that is also super
It
sad.
is. But he does get past. It is. It is, because the journey is not De Niro's. The journey is Robin Williams in that movie. It is moving past a loss, taking a
Mhm.
chance again in life, just like he is in Good Will Hunting, which was possibly my other choice for
Oh
that, but
yeah,
I had to go with Big
I
Fish.
love it.
With Goodwill, how he's like, it's not just him helping Matt Damon; it's Matt Damon helping him, and that's
Right.
what's so. Robin Williams is always so great at doing that kind of stuff. The late great Robin
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into our final question.
Williams.
This is a shorter show than most of the shows that I've been on or do,
Me
but
too.
we like to keep it concise. Short sessions.
Listen, you don't have long conversations with Brianne or Miss Movies.
Yeah, I get to
She
the
gets to
point.
the point, son. Small talk is not what she's known for.
Here is our final question. It is, what is a film that helps you through difficult times?
Well, if this is, I think we finally get to the therapy part of this
Okay.
thing, because to me, that film is "It's a Wonderful Life."
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not just because we're nearing Christmas. It's one I own on Blu-ray. It's one I watch every once in a while when I'm really really down, or I'm going through some very tough moments in this business or in life personally, or with family or with friends. Because I have struggled for a long time, since I was probably 16 years old, with thoughts of suicide. And anybody, I'm open about it because I don't think it's something that you shouldn't talk about. I think it's something that we all should talk
Yes.
about because we need to erase the stigma of it. We need to erase the what people talk about it as a selfish act. We need to come to a very deeper understanding of a complex emotional chemical thing that goes on
Hmm.
for people. I'm not anywhere near as as affected by suicidal thoughts as some people who actually attempt to do it and go through with it, or find it as a daily thing that they are struggling with. For those people, I send my heart and sympathy out to. For me, it is, I am built in a certain way to conceive of my world and my life. And when I see that there is no hope at times putting it
Hmm.
together, uh, I can get real down. And thank God, film is one of those things that helps pull me out, because film has
Right.
always, since, and it's why I've been a cinephile since I was 9 years old, 10 years old. Film has always found a way to take me out of my situation and put me into something else, someplace else, and make me happy and teach me a lesson and make me appreciate it. And what's so great about it, It's a Wonderful Life, is it kind of shows you what your effect is on the world and what your effect can be on the world. And if you don't give in to the impulse, if you fight it out, if you keep going somehow, you find a way and get back in touch with the love that people you have for people and the people have for you, then there's a chance, there's a moment, there's a
Right.
way to get out of it. And in my darkest times, in my toughest moments, I put on that. So that's a really great film.
I think you know that I share your thoughts of suicide
Mm,
as well. Not your thoughts of suicide.
right.
But
Mine are quite decorative, yes.
it was maybe now it's coming on maybe 2 years now that
Oh,
I
wow.
have finally like started talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
because for 17 years I kept it a secret.
Right.
And then I went to the doctor and I said, "Hey, so I have suicidal thoughts." Probably just like that. I don't know. And
Right,
he was
gets right to
like,
the point.
and it was so nice because I mean, so nice. So
Was
he
it
just said,
uplifting?
all he said was, "Okay, when did this start?" And I said, "When I was probably 18,
Yeah.
probably June 17, 18."
Mhm.
And he said, "And when did you start taking birth control?" And like as soon as he said that, like I just started crying, like
Wow.
because I knew that was the
Oh,
reason.
wow.
And so he's like, "All right, here's what we're gonna do." He's like, "You've been walking around with this parachute on the back of we're gonna
Yeah.
just cut that parachute off." He's like, "You're still gonna think about that parachute, possibly."
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"So we're gonna get you some therapy, but
Right.
let's stop the medicine and we'll go into that."
Yeah. Well, that's
And
great.
so, and the harder part too is that what people don't tell you is from the time you say I need help to the time you actually get help
Yeah.
can be a long time,
Yes.
and it can be a very difficult thing to do.
Mhm.
You don't think that you think, "Oh, it's just, I'm just going to do this and everything's
Right.
going to fall into place." It doesn't always fall into place,
Right.
and that's where a lot of people get lost in
Mhm.
the I want help, but I can't figure out how to get help.
Yeah.
Um so it took a long time, and it was difficult, but once I finally got placed with the therapist that I have now, I
Mhm.
feel like things started to come together. I definitely still suffer
Sure.
from
I
thoughts
think we will always have thoughts.
because it's been so ingrained
Mhm.
in my life.
Mhm.
But it's much less. And I feel like now that I'm not medicated, I
Yeah.
feel like I can actually help like talk myself through it each
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Whereas before it would be something that I would just continue to think about for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Now it's like a quick thought and then I'm on
Yeah.
to, okay, we got to do this now. We're on the way. Can't slow down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a state of mind I want to get to. I think no matter what I choose to do, and especially at my age, you're like, oh, I should have a house, I should have all this money, I should have this wife, I should have these kids, I'm supposed to have these things, right? These are the things that can, for a man who is like programmed from primal nature, or primal beginnings, to feel like, oh, I have to provide, I have to be this, I have to be that. But a lot of my life, I've been a traveler, I've been a nomad. I've found my way. I was in the military for 8 years, I was working at TV, I went to college at Florida State, I became an actor. I started doing commercials, and then just started doing voiceovers. Well, hey, let's look at hosting. So my life
Yeah.
is constantly evolving and moving and changing, and I'm always in that. And I'm always afraid that I'm going to catch myself at a moment where I won't have any other options, and I'll be working in some job I absolutely hate at some retail store or something. And
Hmm.
those are the moments that I'm afraid of, because those are the moments where I don't think I'll be able to stop the thoughts, and without the
Sure.
proper therapy, right? And that's
Right.
really important. And I think some of us are just built. We're just either born with it chemically, or
Hmm.
feel an affinity for it for whatever reason, right? Because we see the world in a certain way. We don't see it the way that other people see it. And one of the tenets of psychology is compare and you'll despair, right? And that's what they tell you. And so you have to
Hmm.
work through that so that you don't, and understand that it's a process. I'm driven, I'm hungry, and I'm ambitious. But with that comes the other side of it, that is like, if you don't get there, what kind of life do you think you're going to have? Are you going to want to keep living that life? And so it's always that's in the back of my mind. But I think it's important to talk about it, because a lot of people dismiss it as a selfish act, and it's not. It takes a lot of strength to do it. And sometimes people are doing it for the wrong reasons, but sometimes people are doing it because in their mind they feel like they're giving a gift back to the world. Like, I don't want to be a burden to other people anymore. Like, I want to leave because I'm not happy, and nothing that anyone is doing is making me happy. And I'm not saying it's okay to do it. I'm just saying I think we need to erase the stigma of vilifying people who do it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I did have that discussion with someone that I know, like, who doesn't understand.
You're right.
Because there are plenty of people that don't
Yes, there
understand.
are.
They do feel that it's selfish, and I think of it from a totally different perspective. I'm like that. It's more the having known someone that has committed suicide in the last year,
Yeah.
like, and someone that is related to that person.
Hmm.
Um, I felt like I kind of was able to help them like understand why that person would do that,
Yeah.
because it's not that they want to hurt you.
Right. No, not at
It's
all.
not that they want to hurt anyone. It's
Hmm.
just that they want to stop feeling whatever they're feeling.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that they feel that they can do that.
Right. And that's what's so great about the movie, because Jimmy Stewart is beloved by everybody in that town
Right.
from the beginning. There is no reason he should consider suicide at any point. He has a
Right.
beautiful wife. He has great kids. He has a good job, a stable job in a small town. But it's because he wanted that. He had a vision of what
Hmm.
his life was supposed to be. And because he couldn't get to that vision because of other things and his good nature, that's the irony of it, his good nature, his giving
Hmm.
nature, his desire to sacrifice himself for his brother, for his town, for his dad, for the savings and loan, the fight
Right.
against what's his face, Lionel Barrymore's character, Mr. Potter, to fight,
Yeah, Mr.
all of
Potter.
that, yeah. But all of that takes a toll, right? And in
Hmm.
that moment when he's on the bridge, and Charlie comes to visit him and jumps in the water, and his progression when he gets his wish granted, I wish I'd never been born. And you see the darkness. And this is what's great about
Right.
Capra. Capra was a very sneakily dark filmmaker. Mr. Deeds, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's all there. John Doe, Meet John Doe. It's all there. The darkness of humanity, the flip side of the goodness of humanity, the flip side of the Rockwell of America. And so when you see that dark part, when he's seeing how his life, what would have happened to the people he loved, there's a real devastation within him. And so when he's crying, and Jimmy Stewart does such a fantastic job when he's crying and the snow starts coming, he goes, I want my life back. I want my, because he understands. And we all have to go
Right.
through those moments. We have to learn to appreciate what we have again, anew. And that's what's so great about that, and that's why that movie always just kind of picks me up, because it's like, yeah, man. And when they come in with the money and
Right.
the way they're
It's the
talking,
best.
right? It's just the bad. It just I when his brother shows up and lifts the cup and says,
Hmm.
to my brother George, the richest man in town, I break down every time, like every time, because it's just so
Yeah.
perfect.
I feel like we need more of that
Yes.
for people.
Hmm.
Like, we need to appreciate people more and let them know,
Yeah.
not wait until they're no longer here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So appreciate someone.
Yeah.
Say that you like them
And don't be
today.
angry on Twitter. Don't troll. Try being positive. Try not being
Yes,
angry at the people who talk about films. Try being positive, because those comments do affect some of us, probably most of us.
absolutely.
And how would you like it if we showed up at your job and every time you did something, we're like, "That's a stupid way to put away the stapler. I would never put the stapler away like that. That's the dumbest way to put in the stapler." You would go. You
Huh.
would be upset, and it'd be hard for you to deal with.
Well, thank you so much,
Well,
John,
thank
for
you.
being my first patient on
Yes.
this first session of film therapy.
Yeah.
Where can the other patients find you?
You can always find me at The Rocha Says, ROCHASAYS. I'm always there on Twitter and on Instagram. I try to respond to everybody or respond to comments as much as possible. Uh, Listen to me on the Top 10 show on the Collider Network, on their Collider YouTube page. Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 Pacific Standard Time, we drop a new episode. And then every Friday morning, the Cinephiles, which I do with Steve, that podcast, which is on iTunes, we drop a new episode every Friday morning. And yeah, we just did a run of really fun films, and coming up we've got Lawrence of Arabia. We just did Magnificent Seven. So there's just we tackle a lot of classics. So it's so much fun.
Nice. I'm gonna check that out. I haven't checked it out yet, so I will.
It's enjoyable for
Gotta
your
be
ride.
honest.
We have two smooth voices, and it's only an hour.
Yes, I love the smooth voices. It's very important to me. I love how things sound. You can find me either at my daughter's school hiding my shirt because I'm a little nervous that people are going to think I'm strange. Or you can find me on Twitter at Ms. Movies. That's where I am all day, every day. I see your tweets. Thanks for tweeting at me.
Are we going to look at any of these? No.
Sure, we can say some goodbyes to some of
Yeah.
our patients that are in the room watching us being our voyeurs
Oh, yeah.
right now. So thanks, Jack Cole, Randall Sands, Samurai Knights 07,
Yeah.
Janine. Hey, Janine.
Oh, what a very nice thing to say, Janine. Thank you.
Oh, what did she say? Read it out.
She said, "Love La Roca. This was great. I love you guys." I like what Randall Sands said here. I was not expecting to have my heartstrings pulled on today while working. You guys are trying to make me cry today. Ha ha ha. I like it.
Randall, the show is called Film Therapy. So next time, be prepared.
Yeah, bring tissues.
The next guest I have is going to be Hector Navarro.
Yeah, I
so
love
there
Hector.
you go. That'll be next week on Thursday.
Hector's the greatest. Maybe I'll come and watch that one.
You
I just want a
can.
fellow page. Or I'll turn it on.
You
and
could
watch
either
it.
turn it
Yeah,
on,
I'll
or
turn
you
it
could
on.
be over in the side there. You could pop your head in, or you could be in the back on
It's
the
true.
stairs.
I could be just sitting
like
over
just
there.
sitting there.
Just going like this.
That could be interesting. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you at our next film therapy session. Bye. 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 I guess I'll end
Bye.
it the same. Bye. Bye. Bye.